don't you love the world?
No.
The amount of lunacy, the amount of lunacy it contains.
I do enjoy that part. That's
so
one of the best bits.
Eternal clown music in my head.
Exactly. So I want to make you love life and embrace life and choose life. Because I mean,
it's train spotting.
Yeah. Every time we think that we have reached the bottom of the barrel when it comes to lunacy, there are more movements and more silly stuff that come out. Yeah, so I mean,
is that an optimistic outlook?
It depends how you look at it.
A barrel half empty, isn't it?
It depends how you look at it. If you are in the business, like I am, of seeing silly things and laughing and sending stuff to colleagues and in a way torturing them, this is. I mean, if I were a president or prime minister or something, I would use Twitter just to send random stuff to people. Just, okay, whatever.
That's your main policy pledge.
Yeah, so
Prime Minister Stelios has posted more gore.
So there's a new candidate for the weirdest movement, and it is as sensible as like deers for hunters, cows for butchers.
To be fair, the best thing for preserving the welfare of deer is hunters. So there's more truth to that than because
cows
of course
for
they
butchers.
Yeah, less so.
Well, you could say that again because also butchers want a population of cows. Yeah. How about little old ladies mutilated late last night for Werewolves of London?
Wow, well,
that was a bit left of field.
How about Bad Light cans for Kid Rock?
I don't even get that reference.
No, he was shooting Bad Light cans.
Oh, right. Okay. Bud Light.
We have a movement to show to you. We have a movement to present to you. The one and only Quiz for Palestine. Now, let's see the first here. So we have a lot of people here protesting. Basically, I don't know what it is. Okay, it's just weird.
What does Quiz for Palestine even mean?
Yeah,
they just love rooftops and being thrown off of them.
We can just see here.
But like, do you have gay orgies whilst wearing Palestine flags?
They just wear the scarf, don't they? Hide their identity.
Some people asked me to make sense of it, and I'll try to make sense of it during the segment, but I'll think on my feet
because the scarf covers their face, and they're probably very ugly.
So we have Ollie London saying Quiz for Palestine, protest in York. Who's going? Go tell them. Now, we have.
It's Christ, for
those of us who don't see and you listen to it, we have some memes. We have someone standing on top of a building, kicking someone else. Obviously, it's a meme. It's made up. Shouting, "This is Gaza," while shoving the other person. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go to another thing. So let me say something else. Sorry, what am I doing here?
Were there 300 Palestinians?
Yeah, so basically what I want to do, let me just hear so what I want us to say is that with movements like that, it seems to me that there's a question arising in us whether the West is doomed and whether the world is doomed, because you have people who you would say have seriously miscalculated the things they are for.
It's like mice being in favor of cats, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more and find out more about whether we are doomed, we have a symposium here, symposium number 41, Can Western Societies Survive? I'm moderating a discussion between Benedict Beckeld and David Thunder. We are talking about things like multiculturalism, the demographic problem, and the problems of increasingly centralized state. And basically, we are saying how difficult things are. With £5 a month, you can get access to all the premium content and support us.
Hi folks, we've rolled out a new feature on the website, which is the ability to pay for an individual piece of content. So usually it's £5 a month every month to subscribe to all of the content on the website. But I appreciate there are going to be people who simply don't want to do that. They would be interested instead in purchasing a single piece of content for a lower amount, and they've got a particular niche that they're interested in watching. And so they don't want every single piece of content. They just want this one thing. So we've introduced this function where you can just simply purchase the one thing for £1.89, which I think is about $2.30 at the current exchange rates. And then that's just yours forever. So there's no sort of commitment there. There's no rolling subscription. It's just that one thing. So that's an option now that's on the website. It's completely live. It's completely available. And please go and enjoy it. And we'll see you all very soon.
Okay, so I want to say that movements don't come out of the ether. There's always a deep and rich historical context that gives rise to them. And sometimes a lot of the older versions are more sensible than a lot of the outgrowths. So I searched for some queer wisdom in pink news. So
That's
here,
a strange conflict of terms there.
yeah. But if you see, there's a clear discrepancy between the two things you're going to listen to, and you'll see that some people have more sense than others, apparently. So it says, here are 5 ways you can support Palestinian queers, according to LGBT plus group Al Cause. This is August 2019, by the way. So you have here...
Sorry. Do you notice the story to the right there that's right next
That's
to...
exactly what I wanted to say.
He fled to Israel, escaped persecution and murdered and beheaded in West Bank.
And
Blimey.
Right next to Pink News being like, we stand with Palestine.
Yeah, so that is what I want to say, that, there was some wisdom about this that apparently has been forgotten, but this is so 2019.
Yeah, but look at the last story as well.
Yeah.
Palestinian Authority just banned all LGBT activities in the West Bank. That was 2019 as well.
Guys, that's 2019.
It is.
And
that,
it's
yeah.
also August 19 of 2019.
I forgot it is the current year.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's the previous year.
A bit Dark Tower
Oh,
stuff.
no way.
19
How did I miss
everywhere.
this?
Okay, so we have stuff here. We have people talking about Palestinian authorities not being exactly LGBTQ plus friendly.
They blame us on the British Empire as well.
You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see. Now, we have the next thing. What comes to mind when you listen to the acronym BDSM?
Degeneracy.
Not Palestine.
Not Palestine. Well, I think you have a very dirty mind,
Okay.
and you should think of it. Why? Because it is the, see here, boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. And if you see here, it says BDS.
But
Oh,
the
I
M
missed
for
the M
movement.
off. Oh, that's...
And you see here the scales of justice handcuffing someone
that is the M.
here. And then they have, freedom, justice, equality here, but they're barely visible. It's just weird stuff. They had some, so what is BDS? Let's see. Boycott, divestment, sanctions is a Palestinian-led movement for freedom, justice, and equality.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone believes you. BDS upholds the same principle that Palestinians are entitled to the same rights as the rest of humanity. Okay, so I'm not talking about the war or anything. I'm just talking about this thing here. So, overview. They say
Say no to pink washing.
BDSM movement say BDS movement say no to pink washing. Now, do you know what pink washing is?
Nope.
Is it making stuff gay?
Let's see here. Pink washing is according to BDS movement. Pink washing is an Israeli government propaganda strategy that cynically exploits LGBTQIA+ rights to project a progressive image while concealing Israel's occupation and apartheid policies oppressing Palestinians. For decades, Israel's colonial and apartheid regime has robbed, oppressed, ethnically cleansed, impoverished, imprisoned, and killed Palestinians, queer and non-queer alike. And they're talking about here anti-pinkwashing activists. This is what generated Quiz for Palestine. You'll see. Anti-pinkwashing activists and groups have pushed Palestinian rights to the forefront of pride events across the world. More than 100 groups supported the call for Palestinian queers to boycott Eurovision 2019 in apartheid Tel Aviv. Anyway,
But if
Oh,
it
no,
was-
not
hang on,
boycotting
sorry.
Eurovision.
If it was apartheid, surely they wouldn't be let in anyway.
well, I can't make sense of it, honestly. But I'm showing you.
I
giving you-
boycott Eurovision every time it's on by not watching it because it's rubbish.
It's just
It's
ridiculous.
not like the blacks were boycotting the South African Parliament and were like, well, we just don't want to be part of it.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, Eurovision isn't particularly known for the high quality of the songs.
I'm sure they showed Israel by not turning up to Eurovision.
Yeah.
I mean, none of this would have happened if they boycotted the previous few years as well.
Yeah. So I just showed this to you in order to acquaint you with the historical context that led to it. So what we're going to do for the rest of the segment is we're going to just look at the media on Twitter. If we just write Quiz for Palestine. We have here, say,
This might
this...
be a bad idea.
What?
I don't know if porn's going to pop up. Hopefully
No.
not. Okay. Twitter's
I
full of
don't
porn,
think-
man.
If we see,
I've never seen it. I don't understand.
so
Just doesn't come up for me. I heard Rory talking about it, and I just presumed that it's because he watches loads of degenerate stuff.
Do you have the safety filter put on?
I've not messed with it. Is
Okay,
it
you
on
probably
by
haven't.
default?
Maybe.
Okay.
we are looking here at someone who is reacting against the marches with his shows his not particularly positive sentiments towards it. This guy here, what are they doing anyway? So we have here gays for Gaza and queers for Palestine, demanding the end of Israel. So much to unpack here. The level of stupidity is breathtaking. This is a fun one. You see, we have this what is a moose?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, look, it says quiz for Palestine when reality hits. Just look.
What is going on here, Stelios?
No,
What's
just look
about
at
to
it. Just-
happen? Okay.
Okay.
Just
I thought that was going to be
Something else.
less family friendly.
And it just goes on.
it just goes on. Jordan Peterson said some stuff. He is having fun here.
I do have to wonder though, if you met one of these human beings and hung out with them for an hour and got to talk to them about their life, what kind of mental illness would you declare them to have?
Wokeness.
You've got to have something seriously wrong with you.
Yeah.
To end up in Queers for Palestine.
Well, it's a pathological use of Western ideas that have attached to Western contexts that deal with Western problems to the whole world, and doing so in the name of anti-Westernism.
Yeah, I think that they hate their country, they hate themselves, and so it's a natural extension of just their general self-loathing to their own identity, isn't it?
Yeah, we have here a weird meme. Again, let's see other stuff here. So we have some pictures showing that the people.
Quiz for ISIS, not successful.
Yeah, that a lot of people in
It's a
let's say
really explosive
Palestine
movement, Callum.
Yeah, I'm trying to put it diplomatically. They're not exactly pro LGBTQ. Yeah, we have several.
I think I just saw that.
That was a man
Just
bungee
doubling.
jumping.
Yeah, so we have all sorts of weird stuff here. Weird stuff. We have here Palestinian leader calls for the elimination of gay people. The Palestinian people will not allow a single homosexual on our land.
That does have the format of a memory TV meme, which
Yeah,
couldn't.
we have
Oh yeah, I did see this one.
self-frying insects. You know.
That's a lobster, not an insect. It's a crustacean.
Is it too small for a lobster?
Little lobsters.
You get
Is
me?
it?
You can
I
see their
mean, no.
claws.
All right.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
a crayfish.
Anyway,
That's right. Yeah, it's a crayfish.
Anyway, okay. So you get the idea. I'm just showing what is here. It says that chickens for KFC.
Well,
I do-
chickens will eat KFC, by the way.
Yeah.
If you ever have KFC, feed it to a chicken.
I do particularly
You'll
like
find
the
out.
one we just went over though, which is it's hard to see, but if you could see here, someone did turn up with one of the intersectional LGBT flags, and a bunch of Muslims just stole it and ripped it down in London over the weekend because they were like, "Yeah, I don't care how queer for Palestine you are, you got to go." Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. So basically, what I want to say is, because there are a lot of stuff to discuss about this. I had the the weird stuff for the beginning, and I have the more sort of philosophical stuff for the end. So I think it's really funny to see how people who think they know everything, basically, and they think they have to pick a side on everything, even if they don't know what is going on. That's a weird thing. So, for instance, I don't know a lot of stuff about this conflict. I'm staying out of it, and I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just showing these bits. So I don't think that a lot of the woke stuff we are dealing with apply here.
Do you think that's a symptom of being in the West? Because one of the things I noticed about Americans who moved to Russia, there's a weird section of YouTube of about 20 guys who have done it, right?
Yeah.
Every single one of them says the same thing as one of the reasons they like Russia more than America, which is no one asks you to pick a side here.
Yeah.
No matter what's going on, your opinion isn't important. So there's no who do you side with? Whereas in the West, it seems everything that happens, for some stupid reason, the power apparatus wants you to be involved
I mean,
sorry, Stelios.
yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think we have lots of rhetoric that really fetishizes democracy. And so they're making it out like, oh, my opinion's so important. And it just feeds into people's narcissism. I mean, I say my opinion on the internet for a living. Even I don't think it's that important.
I mean,
and this is what I do.
I think there's a difference between having an opinion and also virtue signaling to a ridiculous extent, because you could say that, I mean, to a degree that we try to read about the conflict, we try to form an opinion. But okay, I mean, it's insane to just pick a side instantly without knowing what that is. That's what I mean. And a lot of these people seem to me to completely use categories that are referring to Western politics, and they are they're straightforwardly applying it to everything in the world.
This always happens, though. I think I particularly see American leftists actually just comparing foreign politics, just like, is this like this thing at home?
Yeah.
Is it exactly the same as this? It's like they can't understand anything outside of the frame of their own personal experience.
Exactly. And the frame is
very strange, actually. And
the frame is, that everything boils down to the oppressor and the oppressed. And they're just asking, okay, where are we supposed to go boo now? Where are we supposed to go hooray? But because they're trying to view everything in terms of the oppressor and the oppressed in the way they understand it as applying in the Western world. And I want to say that what is really weird in these cases is that a lot of the time these people are explicitly anti-West in their rhetoric. They just hate the Western world. They constantly talk about the Western world, and they do it in a very weird way that denies agency completely in non-Westerners.
Well, yeah, they just act as if, the reason Africa didn't develop flying cars was just because of the white man. It's like, yes, there are lots of reasons why that.
Yeah, and Callum, do you remember that at some point we were discussing about MAGA communism, about Russia, and you told me that within the Russian context, it makes sense? Well, if you don't remember...
Yeah, I do remember.
You did. So I think that's the idea, that you, in order to actually have a good opinion about something, you need to be aware of the context. And people who don't do this, also in the name of anti-Westernism, are just incredibly conceited. And I just want to say that this seems to me to lead to the denial that cultures have actual differences. And it's just complete nonsense.
Well, this sort of approach to, I saw it actually quite a lot in sort of the anthropological and sociological literature in the past 30 or so years. The stuff that has been published, I haven't been alive for 30 years, but yeah, there's this weird view of looking for universals in everything.
Exactly.
And sure, there are universals in some aspects of cultures, but there are things that are, unique to them. And it's this weird juxtaposition between the people who are saying all cultures are equal and valuable, whilst also simultaneously looking for all of these universals and applying their own principles as if every single person is the same.
Yeah.
Like the Middle East doesn't care about LGBT rights, and the fact that they're imposing their own conflict upon them, even though there's no desire for it, is kind of testament to that.
I think it's just insane virtue signaling. It's just, we stand for the oppressed, whoever the oppressed are, and whatever they seem to be saying.
Well, it's not white working class men, but they're certainly fairly oppressed by the state.
And I want to say something, because there is I'm trying to make sense of the movement. And by trying to make sense, I don't mean I'm trying to justify. I'm trying to explain why they would do so. So it seems to me that there is something to be said about progressivism. I think that it is two-tiered. You have people who actually know what they're doing, and they do it on purpose. And you have the majority, I would say, of people who you could say are being emotionally manipulated by the former category.
It's the academics and the activists, isn't it? It's that sort of dichotomy.
I would add also some politicians. Yes. They do count as activists in this case. But I would say that if you take a moment of notice, if you take just some minutes to think at the groups that are supposedly protected by progressivist politics, you'll see that they're incompatible. They have completely incompatible views of what constitutes peaceful coexistence.
What you mean, gay rights campaigners and Muslims who are against gay people can't coexist.
You could say that this is one incompatibility. You could say that there are all sorts of incompatibilities, for instance, toilet-related ones. And but the issue is that anyone who thinks about it just sees it. So they have two things that they're doing. They're just thinking blindly that somehow all these differences are going to be resolved. We are not told how. That's a question to ask SJWs, because they never tell us how this is supposed to happen. But there's an even more pernicious element here, is that what happens in the meantime. And I've said so before, but I think it's an interesting idea, and it's relevant here in trying to explaining lunatic phenomena like this one, is that when you have to unite different groups or groups that are fundamentally incompatible with each other, you do so by inventing a common enemy. And I don't think it is a coincidence that the common enemy in Western societies are invariably the native population of each Western country. So I think that this is how you can explain this, that this is, most of them, they don't actually have knowledge of what is going on, and they have the tendency and they feel the need to identify with a victim. Why? Because in the circles they exist and move.
That idea is endlessly fetishized. We must stand up for the victims, and you've got nothing going on in your life.
Such a pathetic mindset.
Without ever understanding what is going on. All it takes is to label some people as victims.
I think by default identifying with the weak, don't you just you illustrate to the world that you yourself are weak as well?
Okay, Nietzsche.
Well, it's true. It might be a bit Nietzschean.
Well, okay, never mind.
Why are you narrowing your eyes at me?
I think
make any sense.
Of course, it makes sense.
Identifying with the weak makes you a weak person.
If you by default identify with the weak in every scenario.
Oh, right.
Okay. I did add in the qualifiers. I did think of it.
All right.
Yeah, so that's I think that's what we are dealing with, because people who are pointing out the contradictions of the progressivist, within quotation marks, agenda, they get marginalized. And I think that this is how you can explain phenomena like Quiz for Palestine.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Brokenomics series, this episode on what exactly Western governments are up to. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.